So just earlier today, UFC Fight Night Holloway versus Allen was announced, or more so, it was announced that Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen was going to be the main event. And I'm looking at this card and I'm thinking this is not a card that you would put on in the UFC Apex. This is going to be almost definitely in front of a crowd. You know, we've got Dustin Jacoby versus Azamat Murzakanov on there, Edson Barboza versus Quarantillo's on there, Munoz versus Gutierrez, pretty high ranked bantamweights up there. Budai versus Collier should be a pretty good fight. Venata versus Alhuba would be good. Gaston Bolaños, who's a pretty big signing for the UFC, is on there too. Like, I feel like this is a card which they're not going to put on in the Apex, especially with a headliner such as Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. So I think this is going to be some sort of card in the USA that's not in the Apex in front of a crowd. And this is your 5 round main event, so it's definitely worth noting that this fight is 5 rounds. And because it's 5 rounds, I feel like you do have to give the advantage to Max Holloway here. He's got so much 5 round experience, and he's a guy that's well known to put in a lot of volume and a high pace with good cardio and guys. And what he does is he's had some really good performances, like when he beat up Calvin Cater over 5 rounds. He beat up Yair Rodriguez over 5 rounds in a pretty close fight. To be fair, he did have to resort to takedowns in moments in that fight, but this is a good fight for Arnold Allen as well. I feel like this is the logical fight at featherweight. You know what I mean? Max Holloway, obviously coming off those title losses to Alexander Volkanovski, whereas Arnold Allen, he's up and coming. You know what I mean? He hasn't really earned a title shot yet. Like, he does have good wins over Cater. That was by injury, unfortunately. And Dan Hooker, who's not at 145, Acidic Yusuf's pretty lowly ranked right now. Nick Lentz and Gilbert Melendez aren't ranked. So I feel like this is Arnold Allen's opportunity to really prove himself, and that he is at the top of the rankings. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not that sure who I think wins. It's such a tough fight. I feel like if it was a 3 round fight, I would actually be quite tempted to pick Arnold Allen in this matchup, though. And I'm going to be brutally honest here. The thing about Max Holloway is this guy's taken so many significant strikes and never been knocked down. But I feel like that damage is going to add up eventually. And that's kind of why I did pick Alexander Volkanovski to win by KO in his matchup against Max Holloway. I thought he was going to use takedowns and use his ground and pound to get a ground and pound TKO, kind of like he did against Brian Ortega, except the fight didn't get stopped against Brian Ortega. But yeah, Max Holloway, man, he's coming back. I'm going to pick him to beat Arnold Allen at this stage, but I think he's going to lose the first round. I think Arnold Allen's going to win the first round, but then Max Holloway might win. But the thing is about Arnold Allen is he's good too, and he's going to be a good striker. He's also got good takedowns as well, but we're talking about a guy that is getting outstruck in some fights and relying on getting a knockdown to win. I would be surprised if he was able to knock down Max Holloway. So I'm going to be going with Max Holloway in this one here. It's good to know that Max Holloway's staying at 145. I was kind of wondering where he would go. Like, maybe I thought he was going to bulk up to 155 pounds, because at the end of the day, he's not going to get a title shot again as long as Volkanovski's the champion, unless he goes on like a 3-fight win streak or something like that. But yeah, I've got Holloway by decision in this matchup here at the moment, but could I be convinced to pick Arnold Allen? Potentially, yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about this card overall. There is no venue being booked for it. There's no location being booked for it. But we do know it's April the 15th. And I think this is definitely going to be in front of a crowd. You know, Dustin Jacoby versus Murzakanov is a pretty big co-main event. Barboza versus Quarantillo is going to be a banger. Pedro Munoz versus Chris Gutierrez are pretty highly ranked at bantamweight. Brazil versus Gomez, that will probably be on the prelim somewhere. But if you go down the card, there's good fights in here, you know what I mean? Like TJ Brown versus Bill Algeo should be good. Pierre Rodriguez versus Jillian Robertson will be a good fight. Bernardo versus Alhuba will be a good fight. It'll be interesting to see who the people are picking, considering his Alhuba looks really bad in his UFC debut, in my opinion. Yeah, a lot of people going with Fanata. I'll probably go with Zellhuber, but man, the UFC debut against Trey Ogden was a really bad look, dude. It was bad. Jocelyn Edwards versus Lucy Prudilova is okay. There's a lot of women's MMA fights on this card, so maybe it's not going to be in front of a crowd, but I don't know. Gaston Bolaños versus Aaron Phillips should be pretty good as well. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Would appreciate let me know what you think. But I've got Max Holloway by decision right now. I think it's pretty big news, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this card. Actually, it's going to be a good card. So April 15th. Keep your eye out. Should be a good one.